Don't talk about me like that.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
There you go.
Dude, oh man, that makes me sad. I meant to grab what I was going to show you and I totally forgot. It's upstairs. Dang it.
I've also got
Nice. I saw Commando in there real quick. Heck yeah, man. I can't wait to watch that. Good
starts
fellas.
with $1.88. Never ending story.
Love
I
it.
mean, come on. Unsane, I need to watch it. I've heard great things. Boogeyman 2 wasn't bad, wasn't great. Good way to waste an hour and a half while not feeling well.
That's what I felt about the first one.
Cabin Fever Patient Zero is utter trash.
Third one?
Yeah, but it's like a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
So got it. Finally got another copy of Forsaken.
Oh,
been
God.
forever. That's right. Finally got a copy of Commando. That took me long enough. Storm of the Century, but this one doesn't work. I need to return it. Get another copy. And Hitcher 2. I still need to get the original. It's been a long time since I saw it. But yeah, I got a little bit of collection boost, as it were.
Very nice. Deb, you scrub, man. Prey is not in theaters. It's only on Hulu. They did not give it a theater release.
Yep. Only Hulu. It took me forever to sit down and finally watch it, but I did, and I love it.
Yeah, people are. I won't get into spoilers. We'll say Prey till the end since you're here now, and people are. Most people are hate it because this, or they love it because that. There's not a whole lot of in between. It's kind of silly, but definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the time. Yeah, I won't spoil it. I do have a nice set of notes for Resurrection this time because Resurrection oddly has a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about last week, and it's so hard. Like with H6, when we were talking about H6, between directors and theatrical cut, and it's like it's all over the place because they were all over the place, and like our opinions are like different between different cuts. So that was so far the theatrical cut and the director's cut or the producer's cut has been the hardest one to talk about because it's like, wait, where are we? What was happening in this cut? They blend and it's hard.
Yeah, with Halloween 6, it's a little bit rough to talk about. But H20 and Resurrection are much easier to dissect, in my humble opinion. And oddly enough, I was jumping at the bits to cover Resurrection, which John apparently was not. So it works out for me.
I was telling Caleb I finished Halloween H20 last night, and then I immediately went into Resurrection as I was working out, and I had a couple beverages as I was watching Resurrection, and I've got some unique thoughts this go around.
I'm pretty forgiving on Resurrection, which I'll get into when we get there, but. Yeah. Well,
yeah, man. The road to Halloween Ends is it's on its way. Some of the things we're going to talk about tonight actually plays into some of the theories and themes of Halloween Ends, which is really interesting. What's up, Matt? I think I saw Paul in here with the heart, so thank you if that was Paul.
Ooh, yikes! That must be about Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah. We'll burn it down and we'll send some some hot takes maybe on that here in just a second. But H6 comes out. It has a decent budget of about 4.55 million. It does fairly well, but it's panned by critics. It's panned by fans. You had to wait from 89 to 95, and then you're like, wow, it really went out there, really did some things, and you could tell it was very disjointed, especially when we come to find out later about the producer's cut. So because of the bad reception of H6 at the time, anyway, it was actually going to go to VOD. For the most part, like Dimension, and then the Weinsteins got involved. It was going to be about another relative of Michael Myers in a school setting, and then there was going to be a copycat. One of the ideas of it was a copycat named Charlie, and then that would get Michael out of hiding, and then so on. So Harvey Weinstein actually went to Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jamie Lee Curtis signed on, and that's when the budget went from probably what was going to be probably around $2 to $3 million, got jacked up to the second highest budget in the entire franchise, only outshadowed by Halloween Kills. I haven't checked the budget on Halloween Ends. It might be bigger on that one. But movies that have been made and that are out so far, it had a $17 million budget. So it's interesting because VOD would have been interesting because you could do a lot of things that you could take chances. It's kind of like Prey. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, if you watch the Predator movies that went to the theaters, they had to keep getting bigger, and they had to have a gimmick. They had to be kind of, they had to have like, the flashy lights and show you something and make the stakes bigger and bigger. Prey kind of it's kind of nice because it kind of tones it down a little bit, brings it back to some basics. You know what I mean? It's very comfortable when you watch Prey. So that's kind of maybe what could have happened, maybe not. But anyway. Once again, they tried to go to John Carpenter again, and he said he was down for it, but he wanted $10 million because he felt that he was shortchanged from the first movie, which I don't understand that because he got 10% of the entire profit, so I have no idea. But anyway, Donald Pleasance unfortunately had passed, and the monologue that you would get in the cold opening, that'd be by Tom Kane, who did the voice acting. For whatever reason, they couldn't remove the music behind Donald Pleasance when he's giving that opening, or the speech of the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes in the first movie. So that's why they weren't able to use Donald Pleasance, because I was always confused about that too. I had to do a little digging. So that's why they had to have a voice actor come in there and do it. And for the time, I think he did a really good job. It's just like the guy in Halloween Kills. Did he fumble a little bit? Yeah, but if you're not Donald Pleasance, I just don't think you can't quite get.
I will say H2O is a much better job than Halloween Kills. Did he kill? Did he do it? Did he kill again? Come on, man. You know he did. What are you doing? Shut up.
Right.
Tone it down.
How I kind of justify that is it kind of feels like Loomis in Kills, where he wants to kill Michael. He's got, he wants to shoot Michael in the head. I feel like he's like wanting him to say, yeah, oh yeah, he killed again, to give him kind of reason to kill him right there. I mean, especially if he just shot him 6 times. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm with you there. It did seem a little Shakespearean, but Donald Pleasance was very Shakespearean. He was very Van Helsing to Dracula, very theatrical.
It looked a lot more Dracula Dead and Loving It than Van Helsing. That's my opinion of Halloween Kills, the Dr. Loomis scene. It feels like a full-on parody. Like it should be in Scary Movie, not in a Halloween film.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance just does a really good job of selling it. He just, in my opinion, I understand, like Matt thought he was a little overrated and a little theatrical too much. I get that from that perspective. I get that. And then you have a guy trying to act like Donald Pleasance, and it becomes even more like that. So I understand that. I get that.
Yeah. Oh, God, here we go. This is going to be a rough start if that's the first comment about the movie that John is covering. Because, honestly, I'm going to say this. Halloween H2O is one of the best regarded films in the franchise overall. It is also, while still holding that status, one of the most picked apart of the franchise. It's really weird. Like, it has both. Like, nobody is just, so few movies get that in a franchise. They're either loved or hated. This one is like, we love it, but I'm going to dissect it and tell you how it could be better.
Right.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's the only movie in the franchise that feels like that.
Well,
like there's a universal love for it.
This is another one where if you have negatives for it, if you have irritations, like Matt saying that it was real boring, I can completely understand where you're coming from, because there's a middle section where there's like 45 minutes of nothing but character build of your your good guys while you're waiting on the bad guy to get there, kind of a thing. But I get that. But anyway, real quick, just finishing up how this movie got started off. The screenplay is by Kevin Williamson and Robert Zappia. It's directed by Steve Miner, which did Friday the 13th Part 2, Part 3, Lake Placid. He's got a pretty decent background. I mean, especially Part 2, Part 3. So he's in the horror vein, right? He's got it going on. Like I said, this movie, like, you went from a $5 million budget to a $15 million budget. You got Jamie Lee Curtis back. This movie goes back to basics while doing the same thing that Halloween 4 did, where it basically pretends that 2 never happened, but it keeps it in there just for connection. Like, it really glosses over 2 and it goes right back to 1 without it. Like, they even say in Halloween 4 and some of the H2O stuff that they really wanted to ignore H2, but they put in just enough breadcrumbs you could just follow the way in there. So obviously the 20 years was coming up, so that's why they did Halloween H2O. The title was going to be Blood is Thicker Than Water, which is okay. You open up the movie on October 29th, and then you got Marion Chambers from the first 2 movies, which is a nice throwback without beating you over the head with it like we would see in some movies. And then you have this decent thing with Justin Gordon-Levitt and his friend, who I'll never remember his name, and I've looked at the actor's name like 16 times. But anyway, so she sees that there's a break-in. She goes next door and recruits these 2 teenagers to open her door, go check her house. And then, he gets a little crazy with the stick, steals a couple beers, and then goes next door. She goes in there. The shape, there's a lot in this movie where Michael Myers, he stands into frame instead of just being there, which is kind of irritating. It happens a lot as the series goes on. It's that first movie, he's ghost-like. He's there, he's not there, and he only kind of steps into frame when he's like messing around or something like that, or being kind of cheeky. So after a while, you notice that he steps into frame a lot in this movie. You get the H6 mask in that opening first couple shots. Chris Durant, I know a lot of people give him a lot of crap. I think he does a pretty good job of going back to basics. It's a smaller Myers, skinnier. He's kept that kind of a distance until he gets closer and closer. This would start with some of the lame kills, but she sees the back door open. She's creeped out. It's near Halloween. She goes next door. We see Joseph Gordon-Levitt with the skate right in his dome with the rocker still rocking, so it's still going on. The buddy falls back out of the back door. And just the way Michael steps in, and then she hides when he gets distracted by the lights. She hits him with, I kind of like that cat and mouse feel. Like, Michael gets like one hit, and then he gets up and he just dominates. The cops are right there, but she can't get to him. And then we get that cold opening when it goes through Donald Pleasance's studies, and it goes through everything. And now this is interesting because it shows you kind of clips between 4 and 6. You got the scissors. You got a couple extra dead bodies you didn't see in the first couple movies. It's interesting because it says Laurie Strode, lone survivor. So Jimmy died. I guess it kind of credits Loomis and Marion as kind of side characters, not really involved in the main attacks, maybe, which is interesting. But it's interesting to me, like, that the thought of, you let Loomis live, like how Halloween 4 let Loomis live through the explosion, and then H2O did it too. So it kind of helps make you feel like maybe Michael could have survived, because if Loomis survived, then it's a better pill to swallow. Kind of, it respects the character of Loomis, but it's kind of weird. That the monologue's a little off, but it's a good, nice, respectful tip of the hat to Donald Pleasance, and away we go. October 29th, and then I looked it up because I was curious, because I was like, it goes from Illinois to California, which a lot of people hate. And I was like, how far is that? It's at least a solid day's drive, which I'll probably get to here in just a second. But that cold opening is solid. I really like that. Hang on one second. I liked H20. I didn't think nearly enough happened though, so I get it. Yeah, it's a shorter, straight to the point kind of movie. I think they had so many problems with reshoots, millions of dollars spent reshoots, and with the script rewrites and everything else like that. So they just pumped out a quick, short movie, straight to the point. I thought LL Cool J's character was odd and out of place in the series. It really was, but it kind of was like a nice little comedy break.
This was also when LL Cool J was like really kicking off his little acting career that he did for a while, right? So and it was Halloween that really set, let's get a famous R&B artist in our movies. I don't know why, but they did. We'll get to disruptive R&B artists soon.
Yeah, I think Deb says, I'm so confused. She's alive later than remember different timeline. Yeah, so it's interesting because if you see like in that opening kind of shoot around the room, which is really, really cool, it says that there's a clip saying that the survivor of the Halloween massacres dies in a car accident. So she fakes her own death and goes into hiding, and then it comes into play later, which is exactly what happened in Halloween 4. Is that she died in a car accident, the husband also, or the baby daddy.
And this is interesting because the Halloween 6 mask was originally used because they didn't care as much. Then they realized they wanted to separate from Halloween's 4, 5, and 6. So some of the elements are like filmed in a way that you can take them into consideration and others are not. So general consensus is that it's 1, 2, 7. But there are elements where it's totally open to 4, 5, and 6 existed.
Right. Well, there was supposed to be a thing where she was supposed to be in class, and then there's something about her daughter would trigger her, and she'd have to go out and like throw up, and because she would have left her daughter, and Michael would have killed her daughter. But they scrapped that because it's just not a very good look for Laurie Strode. Like, and it's okay. Like, I get it. People as parents. Addictions, mental illness, all this other stuff. I'm not here to judge. I don't have their problems, but it's something that would make sense that if she was so traumatized, maybe she just couldn't take care of 2 kids, whatever. It would have worked enough, but I think the movie's better to just detach itself. Had H6 not happened, I think maybe you could have connected, but H6 just derailed everything so hard. You went so far supernatural and so far away from those first 2 movies. You just couldn't you couldn't come back, I don't think. And not for big budget trying to make the generic Halloween fan happy. So we really found out that the more, like, and we're subject to it too, the more you just keep Halloween basics down to basics, you know, Michael stalking, shadows, build, suspense. The generic public likes that more than something crazy, cults, whatever have you, spin-offs, all that other stuff. It's hard to keep up with, like Deb said. It's like there's so many timelines already. It's crazy. But anyway, so then we'd see that Jamie Lee Curtis is now obviously 20 years later. She has a son, Josh Hartnett, who I love as an actor. He first auditioned for The Faculty 2 months before this, and then when they were looking for somebody for this, they called him up, and he auditioned for this, and he ended up shooting both movies back to back. So this is introducing him. I think he does a good job for the most part. There's only one little spot where he gets emotional when they're in town, and he's like, and I can't take it anymore. That right there is like the only little, like when he gets emotional and like the sad face, I don't really buy it. But other than that, I thought he was great. They don't really give him a lot to do, but I thought he was great.
He's got a lot more to do in 30 Days of Night.
So good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'd say my favorite of his though is probably Bunraku. If you haven't seen it, I talked about it before. It's like a comic book action post-apocalyptic. It's super awesome. It's some of the best fighting and dialogue fighting story. It's great. Anyway, this also would go back to the aspect ratio from 1.85 to 2.35. So there's that difference. You would also get a bigger budget, a higher cinematography. So the movie feels a little too clean. The score, I can't ever remember who did the score. He did a very operatic score, and everybody hated it across the board. So they had to do kind of a mesh between some of the Scream's music and between some of John Carpenter's original and his score. So that's why it's kind of all over the place. It never bothered me. It still doesn't to this day, but it bothers a lot of people. And that's another connection to Scream. If you're somebody that cries about this feeling too much like Scream, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Halloween was very influential to Friday the 13th. I don't hear Friday the 13th fans crying about it. Friday the 13th is very influential to everything in the 80s. I don't hear anybody crying about these other movies that looked like Friday the 13th, like Sleepaway Camp. Nobody cries about that. But for some reason, everybody's like, oh my God, it feels like Scream. Anyway, so then this is where I think, Matt, like if you're bored especially, and you're not chomping at the bit, you're not feeling those vibes in the beginning of the movie, when it builds those characters of John and Molly and then Charlie and Sarah, like all the characters in there, I can understand how that slows you down. I do like how they give you a little bit where like Michael shows up at the restroom. You got the mom and the little daughter and like, you know, the spiders, and you got Michael, you can just see him just barely through the crack, but he leaves him alone. And I thought that's just kind of extra creepy. You know what I mean? Like it gives you something a little bit more to chew on than just he's a mindless killer to everything. So I do like that. I don't know why she left the brick open, though. That was kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't you leave the door shut? I don't know. For a quick escape when they're already in there? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody said that, you know, this is a 24-hour drive, and he's got like a day and a half to get there. So they actually said that it looks like he wore the tires out, like he blew the tires trying to get there. He was going so fast. I kind of like that rather than he just ran out of gas. But it's interesting to think in 24 hours he had to get there. Michael had to fill it with gas like how many times? So he's just sitting there with her credit card or the rest of her cash, and he's just like, don't mind me. Like, this is also back in the day where maybe there was some, you know, some people would come out and pump your gas for you. But anyway, reading Romance to the Girl on the LL Cool J. Yeah, man, dude, LL Cool J is awesome in this movie. He really is. But once it starts to go down, like the CGI mask, I'm sorry. Like the throwback to the first movie, she's sitting in class, that was okay, a little too on the nose. I like Jamie Lee Curtis where she's at, kind of a functioning alcoholic, probably especially around Halloween. I love Adam Arkin as the boyfriend. There's something about that guy, like he's got that like Sean Connery with like a little bit of a lisp or something like that, and I just love the way he talks. I just hyper focus on his voice. He's got a great voice. He's awesome in Sons of Anarchy, but he's just like this horn dog that just feeds off her misery, and he's just like all about it. And I know he's a counselor. He's awesome later when they're talking about the kids. They're talking about drugging the other kids on campus. He's like, well, I'd love to join in, but I got to get my nipples pierced. Like, he's awesome. The CGI mask, though, when it starts to go down, the CGI mask is absolutely trash. The in-between switching of the mask is terrible. But Sarah's kill, like most of the kills in this movie are pretty weak. But Sarah's kill is a nice kind of homage to H5. You know, with the laundry chute, this has got the elevator with the broken leg and the slashes, and the lunging in there is really good. I thought Chris Duran did a good job with that. And just it builds some nice tension between the ups and downs. And then, you know, it starts to go off, and Molly and John come in, and they see Sarah hung up, and they up until that point they thought kind of it was a sick joke. And then boom, Michael's there. You get a nice little thing where Michael jumps out of nowhere, and like John punches him in the face like 3 times, and he doesn't even hardly flinch. He stabs him in the leg, and then Molly, the girlfriend, grabs the huge rock and hits him over the head and makes this, like, you know, Roman gladiator lunging noise and hits him. And when he gets up, like, the mask isn't too scary, but when he gets up and his head is down and the shadows are just right, he looks so pissed. And then, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis comes in and rushes them off to safety. Feels a lot like the first movie where she's telling the kids go down the hall or go down to the house to the Mackenzies. Same thing here. Then I'll be right behind you. She shuts the gate. She busts the control pad, and away we go. There's an axe right there, perfectly handy. Way to go. it's just it felt like the whole movie really was trying to get to this one point. That's why it seems so fast. It hones in on only a few kids, gets rid of the rest to go to Yosemite. Even though John really wanted to go. This end scene is just killer to me. Let's see. The dumbwaiter with the dead boy and Sarah's leg. Oof, my favorite death in the movie. Yeah, it's a lot of cutaways because the suspense is being built from, like, in the beginning. You kill the two kids off screen, and you know she knows she's in danger, and then you linger on that kill. Same thing with this. You give a couple kills in the background, you show what's going to happen, and then you fast forward. So from like old school storytelling, again, going back to that first movie, it really does kind of feel like a slowing down, building up the tension. It's all about that climax, which we're about to get into. Do you have anything in between you want to mention?
For starters, I want to go back to Chris Duran as Michael Myers. Honestly, I never had a problem with a smaller stature Michael Myers until I was way older, and it wasn't really a problem. It was just he's significantly smaller than, like, Nick Castle or Dick Warlock or George P. Wilbur appear on screen. So at a certain age, I was probably mid-20s, that it started to really bother me that he was so much smaller. Nowadays, I don't really care as much because I think his performance is actually really well done with what he was given. The CG mask, the story behind it is so frustrating. All it would have taken is like 2 hours of prep. That's it. Just get somebody on the phone, get them to go dig through a box and pull out the mask, and it would have been solved. But no, we used CG to put it over face. Oh my god.
Well, and the thing is with that, they said that they were already tearing down the set, but they needed that shot. And so they'd actually thought about doing some digital with the K&B mask. They thought about doing some of that digital overlay to kind of darken up the mask and change it a little bit. So this was like them kind of testing it. But even with you tearing down the set, all you got to do is give a nice shot from Michael Myers' shoulder, like in the first movie. Like when he's at the school and all you see is the shoulder and maybe even just a skosh of the mask. That's all you got to do. Just don't show the mask. Kid turns, like, you show it from the shoulder, kid turns around, boom, knife in the head, throat, stomach, whatever. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Also, I got to mention the 4 different variants of the mask. So you got the CG mask, you got the Halloween 6 mask in the beginning with a different hair type. Personally, that's my favorite. Then you've got what's known as the Brat mask, which is the big alien eyes looking one.
Yeah,
with a huge neck.
Yep.
And then you've got the Stan Winston mask, which is the final scene, the most popular rendition of the mask of the film. The older I get, the less scary that mask looks. Like, it's weird. It didn't bother me when I was a kid because, oh, white mask, Michael Myers, scared. And it didn't look as bad as H5 or H4. You know, it didn't take you out of the character as much. But the more I look at it, it is, like, genuinely not scary.
Yeah, like I said, when he gets hit with the rock by Molly and he goes down and then he gets back up, Chris Duran had this thing where he would stand kind of pigeon-toed and he would kind of lean forward just a little bit. That shot, and then when he's in the school, when Adam Arkin and Jamie Lee Curtis and whatnot are going after him, there's a couple really good shots of, once again, him down. But the hair is kind of hit and miss too, because it's kind of it's not a good haircut, but it's not the worst mask. But yeah, it's not the best either. Real quick, I did skip past that real quick. So Adam Arkin is with her after she tells him the story. It's really nice. With telling him the story, something that is really jarring is that she said that her sister was killed at 17. Her sister was 15 in the original movie, I think. 15, yeah. About to be 16, I think. Anyway, she wasn't 17. She was either about to be 16 or about to be 15. Either way, I can't remember. I think she was 15. So that's a little jarring. She was 17. Her son is 17. I like that connective tissue had it actually been in line with that first movie. But whatever. But it gets her in gear. And then when they go hunting, and then they got Adam Arkin he shoots LL Cool J, which I think they actually used a shot of Michael coming up the steps to really sell it. And then they switch over to LL Cool J. I meant to pause it and really look in, but last night I was watching it looked really jarring that it was Michael on the first shot.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gets picked up by a full-fledged butcher knife and it's a nice throwback to H2. I did like that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. If you watch that scene and slow it down, it is Michael at first. Wholeheartedly. You can see the outline of the hair and everything.
Right,
it's Michael.
The top collar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's fine though. It's like Sleepaway Camp. When you see it in high definition, you're like, no, that is not that character. Liar. Hold on. The Shape on the Wall line, Michael Hair. Yeah, and then suddenly, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Which was, I'm glad that LL Cool J ended up living, because that would have been a really, really lame death. Like, it's good because it takes him out of the movie and it lets him survive, but he needs to finish his book, and then he's going to go work at his father-in-law's car wash, okay? Got to let that happen. Dream. Yeah. So, let's see. But I like that twist. Oh, that twist. Oh, the coming up from behind. Yeah, with the knife. Yeah, that was a nice one. Yeah. So then the kids are gone. That, like earlier, they talked about fate and facing Frankenstein's monster. She smashes the control panels. She kicks. I love how she Sparta kicks the box. The glass shatters. She grabs the axe. And she's just screaming Michael. The cinematography lifts up. She's got a nice shadow into the school. And then we just kind of follow her back to the dining hall or wherever she was at. She goes, and Michael does this gargoyle Batman pull up and then come out of nowhere from the rafters right behind her. And she's not caught off. She turns around and just gets him right in the shoulder. And they just go at it. There's not a whole lot of cat and mouse here, but like she gets knocked down and then she goes under the tables. And this is a scene, I guess that was supposed to be, I think, in Halloween 4, if I'm not mistaken. She looks around, she doesn't see Michael. He's on top of the tables following her. Once again, it's a kind of a nice elevated shot. And you see Laurie under there, and you see Michael going after her, and then he jumps down, he gets pissed off and just starts throwing the tables. It seems a little childish, but it's fun to watch. I don't know what it is, and it kind of makes me laugh, and it keeps the tension. She runs back up the stairs. Go ahead.
Him flipping the tables is kind of like, it's that rage. Like, he's not. It feels more Jason-esque. Like when somebody gets the better of Jason for a minute, how he like rages out. Yeah. That's what that felt like. Michael doesn't do that as much until here, which right. I mean, I was fine with it.
Right. Michael's kind of a lazy killer. Like he doesn't run. He'll get to you. He's walking. He's just like he's enjoying his work. But yeah, you get the better of him, he gets pissed. Let's see. Paul says, I love the shot of him lowering down from behind her. She's like, yeah. Dude, it's just, you just see the boots and just the way he smoothly comes down. It's probably the highlight of the shots for him, I think, maybe. Like, as of being like a creepy shape. Like in the first movie where he sits up, I think that's probably the most iconic, maybe in H2O, of Michael Myers. But anyway, she runs upstairs. She gets the knife and she starts like ninja throwing them. I love the sounds that it makes because it sounds like she's throwing stars and throwing knives and stuff like that. And she's horrible at it. She was not practicing in her daytime. This is not Laurie from Halloween 2018. And then she runs out of options, just grabs the the drawer, and it just goes right through it. Michael's getting all pissed off. He's like, I love that knife. It's my favorite knife. My mama gave me that knife. And then so she grabs 2 knives, and then she runs off again. Michael's coming after her. She comes out from behind that curtain, man. Michael swipes and just misses her. And this is after she's already been cut once, just like in the original movie, which is really cool. Kind of a nice little nod. But then she just goes ham on him. She's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then he falls off, and she still has 1 knife in her hand. He falls off on the table. And then when she goes back downstairs, you're kind of, even on multiple watches, I'm kind of expecting Michael to be gone. But he's still kind of playing possum. She grabs the knife, and she's about to stab him again when LL Cool J comes out of nowhere and stops her. I did leave out the part where she gets the flag and stabs him, which I thought was cool too, but I don't know what she really thought she was going to do with this knife. Keep in mind that this movie still is coming off the heels of Halloween 2 20 years later. So, oh, hang on 1 second. I got a notification real quick. Sorry. But yeah, so coming off the heels of Halloween 2, his eyes were shot out. Dude was shot like 12 times, stabbed multiple times, blew up. Like, what is a knife gonna do? So it doesn't matter that LL Cool J stopped her. That was not gonna do anything. Maybe make her feel better. But it delays the scene, and then this was the scapegoat. Now, obviously, spoilers because we've been spoiling the whole thing, but this is where the movie, like, the writers really wanted to kill off Michael Myers. Laurie Strode.
The writers did.
Right. Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to kill off Michael Myers. She wanted to have a definitive ending to her character, to the story, all that. Mustafa Akkad said, no, you can never definitively kill Michael. So he said, no, absolutely not. So they compromised and said, look, this is what's going to happen, but in the next movie, we're going to show some trickery, and he's going to live. And Mustafa said, okay. For the most part, everybody was happy except for Jamie Lee Curtis, who was pretty pissed that she was going to have to come back for another movie because she didn't intend it, which is interesting because Jamie Lee Curtis has said that she came back for H20 for the fans. Now that 18's come out, she says it's for the money. I think it's, I mean, it's for the fans when it's convenient, where it's going to make you money, in my opinion. But there's, once again, truth is probably in the middle. But hang on. Other epic shot was head turn when they look at each other through the, yeah, that's a good call. That is a good call. That was actually, that's a good scene. I forgot about it. I'm running through this, but that's actually something from Kevin Williamson. I guess he had an intruder or something like that, a burglar, that he caught, and like there was a similar situation where they were screaming and they were trying to get in the door while this burglar was coming at them, and they were screaming enough to where the burglar ran away. So it was actually a real life experience, which I thought was pretty cool for that.
That I did not know.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, so then the cops are there. John and Molly are back there, like everybody's questioning and whatnot. They're loading Michael Myers into the back of the van. Jamie Lee Curtis is like, oh, there's my friendly axe. So she grabs the axe, she grabs the gun. She says, load him in, get out of my way, and away she goes. And she's driving, she's going fast. Then you see it unzip, and you see him come out, and he lunges for Jamie Lee Curtis, for Laurie. Carrie Tate. Anyway, so she crashes it. It's tumbling. She's like, I got this. Michael is ejected. The axe apparently is ejected, but it'll be right there ready for her. It's the axe of destiny. You know what I mean? It's the dagger from Evil Dead. But I do love, man, like it was a nice kind of callback of Halloween 4 with the hitting him with the truck and stuff like that. Pinning him up against that, like the way he's facing the van, he sees it coming, he's like, oh God, and he turns around and it pins him up in there. And then she just comes out, she's hurt, she's bleeding all over the place. You know, we get that Michael, that little moment, the almost about to touch. She's like, oh wait, I'm sorry, I forgot you killed a ton of people. And just, hi y'all, just rips the head right off with the axe. You see the blood spurting. A nice little exhale, music, you know, camera pans up, and away you go. You know, the problem I have with this is that you're never going to sell me. We're going to get into this more with the next movie. But spoilers for Resurrection, obviously. If you were the dude that had his, if you had your larynx crushed and you had a mask on, you woke up in a body bag, don't you think the first thing you would do is take the mask off, or just be like, you wouldn't lunge forward. And then when she hits the brakes and gets him out of the van initially, he just sits up like, huh, I probably shouldn't have eaten that Taco Bell. I'm going to have the squirts an hour later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't buy it. But anyway, that's the end of that movie. The negatives I have for it were the masks. And there's a couple little knickknacks through all. But, I mean, overall, going back to basics, yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis, this is probably my favorite portrayal. Just her character has the most to chew on, the most to do, the most believable. I really like this movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Honestly, I already told John that I am waiting for the perfect day where it gets just a little bit cooler outside. I'm going to crack open these windows. I am going to come down here and I am going to watch Halloween H20 in the cool, crisp autumn air, and ain't nobody going to stop me because H20 is like the perfect one for that. Honestly, with how much that film was up against, bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis, many reshoots, many rewrites, tearing down the set before they were actually done filming everything, the masks, the issue with do we connect to the previous entries or not, it's arguably 1,000 times better than it has any excuse to be. This should be the Halloween 5 of the franchise. It really should. It shouldn't be that good. It fits. It takes into account the era that it came out, which is why it's compared to Scream, in my opinion, is everybody in the late 90s, early thousands dressed like that, talked like that, and listened to the same music. Like, that's just what it was. Annoying or not, it's true. Was it a little bit heavy on the teen soap opera? Yes, it was. But it doesn't distract me from the film itself. It's not a problem. One of my favorite scenes throughout Halloween as an entire franchise is this bathroom scene from H20. It's just so unsettling, and the fact that he leaves them alone is all the more creepy to me. Like you were saying earlier. And Deb said, I think he tried to take it off, but was confused and disoriented.
I buy that a little bit when you see him when he's pinned, but when he first gets up out of the van, you think the first thing would be like, I mean, obviously you know that this is the killer.
Like this, like, hell.
Right. I think
that is like
to come back, but she interested in her character. Yeah, you're right, Deb, on that one. It works. It works, but it's really something where you're like, it feels like a middle schooler wrote it. Like if like the resurrection twist really makes it feel like a middle schooler wrote it. And the problem is like everybody said okay, because it's like, once again, it's like from Halloween 4 to 5, it's like, and from 5 to 6, it's like, well, my movie's done, so I'm happy with what I got, so I don't really care what you do with this. Like, I set it up this way. I don't care. Once again, like I said in the last one, this is a franchise where, for the most part, every single next entry poops on the ending of the previous movie. Like, they poop on it because.
That box next to me is the Nightmare on Elm Street DVD box set.
Thing's legit.
Yeah, it's just on a shelf next to me. If you're talking about any of the other boxes, let me know, because, well, this is a Lego Batman cowl that's still in the box. This is actually a temporary stand that a time capsule my wife and I made forever ago. But yeah, Halloween H20 is really good. I don't care. And I'm kind of sad Jason's not here to throw crap at it. So, Jason, if you happen to watch this later, sorry.
Jason's going to comment and just burn it down. You know he's going to. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all I've got for H2O.
You went off on a tangent. I couldn't even interrupt you. You were just going.
Which
you got it.
H2O is one of those things where, like, I will say that some of it's powered by nostalgia. Some of it's just the simplicity of it. I love Josh Hartnett. I like 90s horror. I like a simple Myers. I can follow along. But it really is, at the end of the day, it's still a guilty pleasure. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that Halloween 1 is a masterpiece. Halloween 2 isn't necessary, but is awesome. And then anything after that's like, meh, like, yeah, I'll watch it. So, for me, anything after 2 is kind of, it could be labeled as a guilty pleasure.
We'll get there. Personally, I'm over the guilty pleasure lifestyle because at this point, like, I'm 32 years old. If I want to watch it, I want to watch it. I don't care.
Right.
I do not care.
Like, as far as like being really invested and like pissed off, the reason I was so pissed off with like Kills is like we've talked about. 18 did what we wanted it to do. Back to basics, loved Myers, keep it simple, and then Kills is like, well, maybe we'll put some 4, 5, and 6 feelings in here. And then that's what I was talking about it's interesting with the kid from Jumanji that played the younger Robin Williams. He was supposed to be the copycat, and then they scrapped that, but they loved the actor, so they kept him in the movie. But it's interesting that they're going back and using those elements possibly for ends, maybe. Spoiler. Yeah. But it's in the description if you didn't know that, my bad.
You were raised in the woods off my land.
Oh my God! Hang on, bro. Hang on. Let's see. Probably my second favorite so far. I'm loving that, Deb. And then Matt says, dude, I would watch Resurrection again before H1. That is nutty. Deb gives it an 8.5. We'll say our rating for the end after Resurrection. There's a thing they did in it. I won't say unless y'all said it, but it's that one I didn't like. Well, you can go ahead and say it, man. There's a thing that...
Yeah. I don't know.
That's crazy, man. Like, I've got things to say about Resurrection, so I'll leave it there. I can't get on
I've got a lot to say.
I can't get on that ship with you. If I remember correctly, and maybe I'm wrong, but Resurrection is the worst movie in the Halloween franchise per Caleb. When we did our Halloween worst movie in the franchise, if you haven't watched that, subjectively, I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is the worst in the franchise. Objectively, I think H6 is the worst in the franchise.
I'm still blown away by that, but we'll get to that. So, Halloween Resurrection. Oh, here we go. You don't even need to discuss the Resurrection movie. It isn't worth being mentioned. Straight garbage. So, I'm going to go ahead and start off with Halloween Resurrection. This is the first Halloween movie I got to see in theaters. So little kid me was super excited to go see it. Not knowing really anything about it at the time other than I liked Michael Myers. I liked that he killed. I liked that he wasn't Jason. I loved it. So I go a little soft on it, but I do acknowledge it's garbage. I would not watch Resurrection fully again, but there were scenes that were hilarious. Oh, yeah. This movie has got some fun, some camp, some bad, some terrible. Why did they hire a bunch of R&B stars? Anyways, so the budget for this film, $15 million. $3 million of which, $3 million of those $15 million was for Jamie Lee Curtis's 10 minutes.
Maybe 10 minutes. Like, she's barely there. What was it? Like, maybe, I can't remember. I can't remember. She was on set for, what, 3 days or something? I can't even remember. Not even?
Yeah, it's quick. Um, to put that into perspective, for all of H2O, she was paid $5 million. That is crazy. She was paid $3 million for Resurrection. Dude, that is nuts. Box office actually wasn't terrible for a movie like this. It made $37.6 million. That's not terrible. It's not great.
But that's basically half of. So Halloween H2O, it has $17 million, but it made 75. So that's almost the same budget, making half the money.
Absolutely, I don't disagree. But for the time, for horror, for a follow-up that you could tell had a gimmick in the trailer, that's not terrible. That's not the worst they've ever done. Real quick, I don't like 95% of older movies. There's been very few that I've actually enjoyed. That's sad. I'm sorry. What happened to Myers ends up turning him into a stalker, but a demonic being. His survival rate is ridiculous. Man, Halloween Kills really takes that on.
Yeah.
I'm sure Busta Rhymes got paid too, also Tyra Banks. Yes, I didn't look at their pay, but I am baffled by the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis got paid $5 million for H2O and $3 million for her. What?
Right.
Okay.
Easiest paycheck ever.
Okay. You know, it maybe Halloween 2 was an easier paycheck because she didn't really talk.
She only got 100 for that.
That, you know. Anyways, so Rick Rosenthal came back. We haven't seen him since Halloween 2. He was the director of Halloween 2. Getting his name attached to the project automatically made the fan forums and everything go nuts. Super excited for it. One of the early reveal photos was of Michael Myers' mask, and still to this day, even people who hate the movie agree that the mask was actually done right for the time. This looks like a 2002 Michael Myers. Like it's stapled. It works. It fits. The overalls are oversized. The collar's too big. The hair is kind of wild. The paint job on the mask looks too much. Halloween Resurrection remake. I'm telling you, in this climate, it can work. We live in an era. Free guy, bro. I'm gonna get there. So Brad Loree is Michael Myers in this film, which oddly enough, his performance isn't like make it or break it, but he's not my bottom Myers. I don't think he is bad. There's one bad point where he gets mocked, and I've actually got it playing in the background, and it's at that scene right now by Busta Rhymes, and that kind of ruins it. But other than that, his performance as Myers is pretty good. He's stocky, walks through a door.
You got that dog? I left the back door open for you.
He does good. I don't have a problem with him. Honestly, if I ever get the chance to go to a Halloween only convention, his line would be one of the first I go through to get an autograph. First theatrical experience. I've got 2 Halloween Resurrection masks up there. One Trick or Treat Studios, one of the originals from Cinema Secrets. This is the first run of DVDs. I got it when it first hit DVD. Like, I have a love for the movie. It's garbage. It's garbage. But I can love garbage. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. So getting to the star-studded cast, I think this is where things started to go wrong. When you had Busta Rhymes, Tyra Banks, you get Thomas Ian Nichols, who just came off of American Pie fame. You are pulling these big names into a franchise that's known for more towards giving people their boost.
Big current
star-studded cast. Yeah, star-studded cast usually doesn't go well for horror movies. 9 times out of 10. Interestingly enough, this happened in 2017, but I found this fact and I had to throw it out there for everybody. Daisy McCracken, who plays Donna, ironically, the redheaded girl who is not Donna from that 70s show, was kidnapped in 2017 for real at gunpoint and held hostage with actor Joseph, I think it's Capone, Capone. He was in Bones. And they were held hostage for $10,000 ransom.
Whoa.
Yeah, for 10 grand. Yeah. Dude, imagine, like, you thought the worst moment in your life was releasing Halloween Resurrection, and then you get kidnapped. So, moving on.
That's all. Like, do you write him a check? Like 10 grand? What is 10 grand to actors?
I also want to point out one of my favorite facts about this movie is this movie was supposed to be a bridge between Halloween, H20, and Halloween 9. The original early scripts or script notes that have been written were going to see Josh Hartnett reprise his role and come back to avenge Laurie's death from the beginning of this film. That was the original idea for Halloween 9. After this performed poorly, it was killed in favor, of 18 other scripts, which were eventually killed in favor of the reboot. If anyone from American Pie had to be Resurrection House. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so that's my notes. As I just throw the paper. I hate this movie and I love this movie. This movie has one thing going for it. It did something different from the rest. We are not stalking a little kid. We are not stalking a family member anymore. We are not bound by a doctor anymore. We are investigating a house that's set up by Hollywood that is, and oh no, it's actually Michael Myers' house and he's really loose in the house. That on paper is great. This execution was poor. That's just the way it goes. The opening scene is probably my favorite in the franchise, and a lot of people do love the opening scene. You get Michael breaking into the asylum to hunt down Laurie and kill her. That's Cliff Notes version. And then you get one of the best voiceovers where this dude gives Michael Myers like the best WWF intro speech ever.
Walking down the hallway.
While he's got all these, he's got a fascination with serial killers, so he's wearing a clown mask in honor of John Wayne Gacy, and he's talking about all of these specifics of Michael Myers when Michael Myers leaves. The way that was shot, if the movie ended there and that was the bridge, you know how sometimes they would release shorts? That would have been awesome. It's what happened afterwards that really takes the cake. The premise is gold. Yeah, exactly. Don't call Ja Rule. Call 50 Cent. But
the biggest problem with the beginning, though, is like it's just done piss poor. Like in the first movie, now here's the thing, like a little defense for the director, right? Like he shot Halloween 2, but really though, Carpenter went in and did reshoots. He also wrote the story. So you have a decent director that had a good script and he made a decent, good movie. You have a director that gets a crap script, it doesn't have anybody to rely on, and you get this movie. That's kind of a big problem. But it just shows the whole time. Like the first movie, it takes him forever to go through the hospital and find Laurie Strode. In this movie, she looks out. He's standing there with like the spotlight of Batman on him. He's just like, dun, 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 I'm right here. Like, and then he's in there with like hardly any troubles whatsoever. The guard that he kills, he instantly like cuts his head off, throws in the washer, turns the washer on, throws some bleach in there. And then the body's right there next to the washer, but the dumb guard doesn't see the body, which is clearly lit. Like it's just like
so
it's so dumb. And he does the pull down too again, which I do love.
I will give you that. But the pull down from him is like, it's more believable because he doesn't look as scrawny. I'm sorry. It just you know.
He looks
I really like. Oh, plot on paper is awesome. Beginning of the movie has just ruined it for me. I love the super fan though.
Right.
Yeah. I really like the patient memorizing serial killer facts, though he gets his Myers stats wrong. Yeah, he does. Yeah. But it was super cool being a kid, seeing that in the theater and thinking, all right, so maybe I was the weird kid. I had Halloween masks hanging in my room. I had a hockey mask. I had horror movie figures. I had horror movie posters. I had this, it was like a blacklight Grim Reaper poster, but instead of the Grim Reaper, it was Pinhead. Like, I was the weird kid. That it just was. So getting to see somebody else recite those facts on the screen was super cool.
Growing up in a small town where we didn't have anything, man, like the internet wasn't really a big thing as a little kid, like, yeah, we just had no access to any of that. It kind of sucked.
Yeah, most of mine came from my brother's help, because he had a driver's license. He's 7 years older than me. He could go to Spencer's Gifts and get me a poster, or go to Hot Topic and snag me a T-shirt if I had the cash. Those things were around. So that helped a lot. I mean, between heavy metal posters and heavy metal T-shirts, and then it was horror movie stuff. That's all I had. So that opening scene, just like, I don't know, it made me feel as a kid like seen. Now, granted, the character in the movie is not somebody you really want to be associated with. It was just kind of cool.
Right. I do like, though, the clown mask, and he talks about Gacy and the 33 kills in the basement, yada yada. And it's also a nice kind of callback to the original Halloween with the clown mask. It just got some really good vibes going on. But we go to the rooftop, though, with Jamie Lee Curtis, which is a nice little tie. Like, they found her on the roof a couple times. So for some reason she can get to the roof, but she never thinks to leave to go save, John Connor. Basically, like, it feels like T2, like, escaped the inside. Anyway, she goes up there and she gives this freaking montage, like, "Are you afraid to die, Michael?" Like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, once again, this movie is connected to Halloween 2. He has been shot at least 12 to 14 times. He's been stabbed. He's been blown up. Like, all this stuff in one night. You really think dropping him off a building is going to kill him? Like, so dumb. Like, oh, God. And it's just the dialogue and the way it all goes. It's so unceremonious. After the awesome ending of H2O, I understand how people were so pissed off. And it irritates me still quite a bit to this day. Terrible model. So terrible.
This is, personally, I like the opening. I would have been okay if it was a short that went into Halloween 9 where John comes back and, does his thing. There's a fan film floating around, I can't remember the title of it, that is supposed to be the connective tissue there. That is John finding out that his mom was killed in the hospital, so he goes and hunts down Michael. I wish I could remember the name of it. It wasn't bad. It was worth the hour and 10 minutes. Oh, God. We're getting there. So after the opening scene that is an argumentative one, to say the least, we wind up on a college campus where people are learning about the psyche. Again, at this point, we are a little played out on fate, horror, psyche, brain, book, Frankenstein monsters. I'm done. Right. I don't need to see this scene again anymore. Like, it's like seeing Spider-Man's parents, or seeing Uncle Ben get killed, or seeing Batman's parents get killed. I don't need it. We're good. I get it. I know the source material. Let's move on. The premise here is a group of college kids. College kids are wanting to go be on Dangertainment with not Busta Rhymes, who is played by Busta Rhymes, and his girlfriend Tyra Banks, who's not Tyra Banks, but is played by Tyra Banks. And they both just act like themselves. Just Tyra Banks playing herself, Busta Rhymes playing himself. They're putting on what everybody loved from 2001, which is a reality TV show where you go investigate something. It's like Pranked. It's like Punked. It's like what's going on right now. All the paranormal investigation shows.
Right.
This was kind of catching the early side of those. Those were on late night TV here and there. Iron Chef was way cooler though, which is where I think they got the idea for a character who thinks that he's malnourished, and that's what made him kill people.
Yeah.
Characters, not characters.
Characters, not characters. Yeah.
Chef, cooking
I do like the cooking dude, though. I can't remember his name. I think he's in Save the Last Dance or something like that, maybe. But I do like that actor, and I do like him talking about, like, you got too much protein. You know, yeah. I do love that. The perverted guy, the perverted guy was way too much. Yeah. Busta Rhymes is horrible, but he was funny. Yeah.
The shots, I don't know. I feel like walking through this whole movie step by step is giving it too much. The shots that are seen as like a camera angle where you're actually seeing it through a POV shot are really good. Really good. Or the shots like where we get the homage to H20 where he stabs dude through the door. And you get the camera angle from up here that's playing on live internet or TV or whatever. That's cool. That's a good idea. That's a good cinematography. But it's just executed so bad. The dialogue's terrible. Like you said, I can't speak. Caricatures of characters. Like even the high school kids are all like a stereotype from 99 to 2005. Oh, I'm going to play an older person online, so hopefully I can get a date with XYZ person. It's too much. It just is. It's the most comedic out of all the Halloween movies. I just remember laughing a lot watching it. Yeah, no, it is. Absolutely.
For me, from right when they see the baby chair in the kitchen to right in
you know at that point. You know exactly how it's going to go.
Well, but between there and like when Busta Rhymes dresses up like Michael Myers, I turn my brain off. The transitioning between a normal viewing to POV, and then it's like super fuzzy. It's always got that thing going on. Like it's like super. It's like 1020p. Like it's super horrible. And I'm like, I don't know if anybody really watched this like live. Like maybe later. I just don't like that in between at that time. That's where the movie kind of dips for me, but it does come back. Also, I hate that they go downstairs and they're about to like have sex when like this dude has done nothing but like I've never seen it actually in real life or heard of it working that way when both people are sober anyway. But I just thought that was dumb. But
and then all of the skeletons having them made in Taiwan or made in China still.
Yeah,
man,
like, that's kind of a plot hole because like, how did you store that? Was like there like a wall and then there was another wall and you just didn't, it for whatever reason fell forward this time. I'm not really sure why he didn't know there's a deeper wall.
Okay, so it just played a scene. Okay, I'm gonna give Brad Lurie a kick here. So when the main character, she escapes onto the roof. And then Michael, instead of putting an arm through a window, he sticks his head out, so she kicks him right in the dome. Like, what? What is the thought that head first?
Right. Yeah. So it was a parody of a Halloween franchise, like scary movies. Yeah, I mean, some of it really was. Some of it just, most of the actors in this movie are pretty bad. Like. The Decker, the kid on the keyboard, like his acting was okay. His buddy though was atrocious. Sarah, the main actress, for the most part, her friend was pretty The chef guy, decent. He was all right. Busta Rhymes, I thought was actually pretty good, but he was just being Busta Rhymes. But he was actually selling it. He was charismatic. Like he's fun to listen to. You know what I mean? Like most of the acting is pretty bad. It just did not help this movie either.
And what's her name couldn't scream like at all.
Mm-hmm.
So all of her screams are dubbed over. and they were trying to bring back to life that Scream Queen thing that Jamie Lee Curtis had, and they were trying to top it. They were trying to cast somebody who had a scream that could top that and could not find anybody. So when they settled on her, they dubbed over her scream with a fake scream. I mean,
real quick,
yeah.
I want to rewind because it's interesting. When they go to get an outfit for Sarah, because I guess she's too frumpy and the other gal's too whatever. She turns around and sees Michael Myers because she's really freaked out, like she's getting kind of anxious, kind of like Laurie Strode in the previous movie where she starts to see Michael but she doesn't. Michael was actually there, I think, because if you look, there's a red car in the background, and when they show up to the Myers house, Myers is in the window looking out, and they're towing away his car. So, like, why the hell was Michael just walking the streets and he was like, you know what I mean? It almost feels like some kind of weird destiny that, once again, fate, but it just doesn't feel right.
Where does Michael keep getting Firebirds and Camaros? Like, and not like crappy 80s ones, but like full on, like, that was a 68 or 69 Firebird in this movie. Like, you don't just stumble on those and steal them. That's not how that works.
Michael likes muscle cars, man. Bust the monologue at the end, I swear. I thought he was going to go into a rap album. Oh, man. Hey, Busta Rhymes ain't a sound bite. Michael Myers is Kill a Shock, okay?
Baggy ass overalls. Dude, that should have been on the next album that he put out. It should have been the intro.
Busta Rhymes is another one of those guys, kind of like Adam Arkin, where he has like his delivery. Busta Rhymes does this thing where he's like, and the way he delivers his words, like he'll stretch out some words sometimes. He's got a little bit of that, like we were talking about, like the hipness to him, obviously because he's a rapper and whatnot. But he also has a little bit of a lisp. I don't know what it is, but him and Adam Arkin, I just linger on. I don't know. Their voices are awesome to me. I mean, and like I said, he's very charismatic. Like Busta Rhymes, for as much crap as they get him and they give to him, people, and we'll get there for reasons why. Some of it, I actually think he's probably the best actor in this movie. I mean, other than Jamie Lee Curtis. Looking a little crispy fried chicken.
I've got to talk about a few things that could have been good had they been done differently. Number one, the final scene with Michael Myers opening up his eye and he's burnt. You got the burnt mask, the burnt coveralls, all that. So this is the template for what the Halloween Kills look is. Honestly, even when I first saw the movie, I wanted the movie afterwards where damaged Michael is going around killing people. I think that's cool. I think there's some cool concept, costume, cosplay ideas there. I am a fat man, so I'm not making it happen. And I think that could have been a good story. I think that the connective tissue with John's story, although it makes sense, I don't think that was the direction to go. I still, to this day, defend the Halloween Returns idea. It was the best possible way to go. But, I mean, this film is what killed the franchise. That's what's crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's bad.
This was the first one, if I believe anyway, this is the first one where Malik was a co-producer. And then unfortunately this would be the last movie that Mustafa Akkad would be a producer on and own the rights to. As unfortunately he would die in, I believe, 2003, 2004 in a bombing. Which rest in peace. That sucks. But yeah, I mean, there's so much bad in this movie. That like I said, I had a couple beverages last night, starting to kick in by about the middle of this movie. So like, I know Busta Rhymes sucks. I completely understand. Like I said, if you say he sucks because this, and this, I'm going to say you're right. I had fun with Busta Rhymes last night. And now Busta Rhymes, now let's talk about it. So he dresses up like Michael Myers, right? He's walking in, a little bit of heavy breathing. You kind of see the mask go in and out a little bit. And then you have the real Michael Myers come up behind him. It scares him. He turns around. And I know he should not talk trash. I know it's a disrespect. I completely agree with you. It is. But when the movie's so bad that it almost gets good because you just give up on ever actually defending it, I just love that he's poking Michael Myers. He's like, did you get that dog? You need to take your butt to the garage with Nora. I left the back door unlocked for you. And he's like, oh, so she's just back there hanging out. Like, okay, I'll do that. Like earlier when she's making a frappe and she's doing her like very nice hip dancing, twirly, I don't even know, gypsy dance. And she has her back permanently. It is kind of annoying and pisses you off because she's missing the kill that's happening on screen. And then we don't see her dead till later. So it does make sense in defense of that scene because it is a bad scene, but in the defense of it, he's like, oh, she's vulnerable and ready to go. I'll go get her. They'll probably run into you and you're not going to hurt them, so it'll throw them off like it does. It's not a very long payoff, but I think it's poorly executed. This is also the point where they had a test screening and everybody said, more Busta Rhymes, more Busta Rhymes. Guys, the acting is really bad in this movie. Busta Rhymes is the best part of the acting, sadly. So I get that. I'm on board with that. I think this is the switch where you can feel Busta Rhymes really giving his own dialogue and really stealing the show. But I don't know. What do you think, Caleb?
I don't think Busta Rhymes is the worst part of the movie, but he's definitely not the best in my opinion. I think, unfortunately, for the time and the era, it fits. Like you had LL Cool J in the previous movie. So, yeah, they're gonna keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger. But they only got to do that twice. So, I mean, you see foot, shoot, that, yeah. Tripod kill was just so dumb. Not as dumb as the high girl's head. Hey, one swipe. That, I mean, no, it is bad.
Dude,
the mirror kill is cool with the knife to the top of the head. That's my favorite kill in the movie.
Yeah. I actually really love the morgue horror corner. Yeah, the opening of the eyes, like the burnt. I wish they would have left a little bit of hair, but that is cool. And White not done best. Hang on. The audience fed the girl text to avoid Myers in the house and escape. So that's also where, like, I hated that back between normal view and first person, and it was so shoddy and spotty. Didn't really care for the boyfriend who's like I think he's in a different state, so he can't actually do anything. But and it's dumb because like this frat guy and this girl are about to, like, get her done. And they realize, oh, you're watching this live reality show about Michael Myers? Cool, can we watch? And then, like, more people come in. But once they actually start to sell it and get invested in the thought of this, like, people are actually dying, it's okay. Like, once Sarah's completely alone, like, and she's getting texts and she's kind of using that to kind of cat and mouse Michael, it's okay. Keep in mind, I had a couple beverages, so that's how I can stomach some of it.
I also have to say this is the one time that you get Michael's Jason Goes to Hell scream. When he's getting electrocuted, you just get and it's like, what is happening right now? I don't understand.
Yeah, I do kind of wish that, like, when Busta Rhymes is in the motel watching the Kung Fu movies and stuff like that, and he's all into it and stuff like that, I do wish they would have had him doing some some exercises or some motions or something, just to make you feel like he is not just watching a movie and thinks it's cool, but he actually has some background in it in martial arts, because I think he sells it. Now, also, keep in mind, for the most part, this is really the only time anybody actually goes toe-to-toe with Myers. Like, you have Loomis that goes toe-to-toe with Myers, and you have Tommy Doyle that goes toe-to-toe with Myers in 6, kinda. But really, Busta Rhymes, like, from straight up just person to person, like, he's the biggest dude to ever go up against Michael Myers. I should say that. Biggest dude to go up against. Like, he's actually in pretty good shape in that movie, right? So, like, yeah. For everybody that hates it, like, you're right. He karate kicks. Like, I understand that you hate that. I understand that it should not be done to Michael Myers. Busta Rhymes gets, like, 3 hits on Myers. Keep that in mind. He gets 3 hits for the most part. But they're all pretty bad. Like, you roundhouse kicked him, it doesn't do anything. And then you get hit, and then he kicks him out the window. which he gets caught up in the wires and whatever. So it's not really that big of a deal. Marion Chambers in H2O hits him with a golf club. Like, why are you not so upset about that? Right? Like, it's not like Myers got roundhouse kicked and then he was done. And then he stabs him twice and leaves him for dead. So, like, there's a little bit of give here. I understand and completely agree. But at the same time, if you really just look at it, I think I've lowered my standards so much because the movie's so dumb. I'm just like, I've admitted defeat at this point.
It's like I said before, it's not a guilty pleasure because I don't give a shit. I'm 32 years old. But this has been a movie that I've watched since the day it came out. And as soon as I was at the age of reason, I knew it was a bad movie. It's the same with Jason X. But Jason X is a far better movie than this is. Yeah, and I'll stand by that any day of the week.
My opinion has only really changed since I was a kid on Part 4, and there's only some things that bring it up for Part 4, but my initial feelings have for the most part stayed the same my entire life. But I did say though, like with kills, I thought over time, just like with this movie, like it was so low that my expectations, that I've admitted defeat so much that like there's some things I'm like I'm enjoying it this time. But the tripod kill was as stupid as the bottle kill in Sorority Row. You know, I still haven't seen Sorority Row, and I've been meaning to watch that since Scream 2, and Randy's talking about it. But that's why he pulls up the karate skills at the end. Yeah, you just gotta watch it on TV. It's like the Matrix when he's like, boom, and he just downloads it. I know Kung Fu. But
it's bad.
So Busta Rhymes gets kicked out of the window, right? Sarah's doing the cat and mouse thing, right, with Decker. And then she's in the garage. She comes out with the chainsaw. This is for Rudy. This is for Jay. For all of them. So bad. Like, she just got lucky with this chainsaw in there. It's just, her delivery is terrible. Like, had she just she says "you bastard," and it sounds so like an overlay, like an audio overlay. It just sounds so terrible. But like, her fight scene with Michael isn't horrible. It's the dialogue. But when she gets knocked down and the fire starts in the garage, and then Freddy comes busting through the door and he goes trick or treat. Like, I don't know, dude. He's like, he hits Michael. There's his third hit. So he actually gets 4 hits. My bad. He hits Michael, breaks the thing off. He's doing his little twirly thing, and he goes to get Michael, and Michael just puts him in his place like, it ain't happening today. And I love, he's like, no, he knows he's about to die. He gets thrown into the corner, and then this is where I cannot defend. You wrote it this way. You have him unplug from the power box or whatever and zap Michael Myers in his twig and berries. And he does the grunt and falls back and like burns to death, and then that's really the end of this movie. Like, and I like the dialogue at the end where he kind of goes to protect Sarah. Like, this is not a joke. Michael Myers ain't a sound bite. Like, I understand, like the electric chair to the nuts was pretty dumb.
Yeah, this is rough.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist had more believable kicks than Busta. I don't know, man. Busta Rhymes is pretty big. That's what people forget. Like, Buster is bigger than Michael Myers in this movie.
I do think it's funny that Busta Rhymes expressed interest in wanting to be in Halloween Ends. Part of me is like, let's do it. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, why not? Halloween Kills sucks so bad, so let's do it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think, man? Final thoughts on, did we miss anything? Anything pertinent?
It's hot trash that I absolutely love.
What do you think of the tunnels, real quick? The tunnel or whatever. Like, I don't know why they have one that goes from the garage to the house. I haven't really figured that out. Your great grandfather used to use these tunnels for slaves in the Underground Railroad. Like, I'm thinking of Batman Begins. Like, why is there a tunnel underneath the house?
The tunnels I don't care as much about. What I care really about is the fact that they were in his house setting up. They scoped it out. they put this stuff in there before that day. And he's just like, what, in the basement eating the mice going, okay, yeah, you can definitely put a crib right there. That's fine. That looks good. Thanks, guys.
It
Who is
must
this?
it must have been sometime between killing Lori. Like it must have been like this perfect gap of, still trying to get back home after he stole whoever's Firebird.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hot
bad.
garbage that I have a soft spot for. But
Hate
that's the
having
thing.
to
If
turn
somebody
on.
tells me that the movie's horrible, I agree.
Right.
I do.
Right, I agree. I get the movie's one of those. It's just so bad, and it's one of those things where, like I said, I think I've admitted defeat. I know it's. I was kind of loosey goosey last night. I was just like, yeah, I kind of like Busta Rhymes in this movie. Like he's more entertaining than most of the stuff in here.
And this is one of my favorite Myers looks. I think Michael Myers looks angry. He looks pretty cool. The mask is awesome. The way the coveralls shape over him looks good. The way he's, for the most part, he's back in the shadows here as opposed to Halloween Resurrection until you get towards the end of the movie, which is, again, cool.
Right.
But
right,
executed so bad.
Yeah, Matt, Deb's saying the same thing. It's such a stretch, and that she's torn in the movie. It's so bad, but yeah, but laughs at some of the choices, dude. Like it's what like, and what's sad is they just did not intend this to be a funny movie. Hip, yeah, obviously they're still going off of H20. They're still, like you were talking about earlier, with the drama of the teenagers and stuff like that, trying to make it a little sexy. Keep it in a contained area, like going off of like Sims and the stuff at the time and Survivor. Like you're this close to being voted off the island. Like they're trying to go off all that, but yeah, they did not intend on making this so bad it's funny, which is great. But
yeah,
oh man, Deb's got it at a 2, redeemed for laugh. That's awesome.
Well, should we rank them?
Yeah, let's go with Halloween H20. Man, what do you give it?
Solid 6.5. I really do love the movie. It falls flat in a few areas, but it's an enjoyable time. I love to watch that movie, and it holds true to Michael Myers in my opinion. But that's just one guy's opinion.
Yeah, H20. Like I said, if it wasn't for the masks, I will say, like I said, like. With H20, with Resurrection, I think I'm going to have to watch this movie in the future, which is not going to be a whole lot of times. I'm going to have a couple beverages. For this movie, what I like to do is actually watch it. I have the option on my digital download to go to 1080p or 480p. I actually watch it in standard definition. I have it on DVD right here. I will only, like if I watch a physical copy, I will only watch my DVD, not my Blu-ray. I will not be buying the 4K because the mask is so highlighted when you know scene for scene because it's so jarring. It's absolutely terrible. The masks really kill this movie. And the main mask is bad because the eyes are so freaking big. She kicks him in the nuts and he's like, it reminds me of Hocus Pocus when dude loses his fingers in the tunnel. Like, but I do love everything else about it. Like I said, best performance by Jamie Lee Curtis. Love Josh Hartnett. LL Cool J's awesome. Janet Leigh being in this movie is awesome. And the Psycho music, the nod there, and the Psycho car, really awesome. I think it's, like I said, a bit of a guilty pleasure, but I love it. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's see. Hellraiser gets killed off. So yeah, dude, being killed off so fast from Resurrection is just absolutely terrible. You're right on that one. Hang on. Let's see. It's entertaining. If you kill her that quick, you got to replace her with equal or greater strength. Yeah, that's and it's Busta Rhymes is not gonna fill that gap. They actually wanted Jamie Lee Curtis to come back at the end of the movie and team up with Sarah to take down Michael Myers, but Jamie Lee Curtis was like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing that. Then there was some other stuff where Jamie Lee Curtis was going to be the killer. No, she wasn't going to do that either. So, yeah. But, yeah, so on to Resurrection. What do you give it?
This really sucks. Like I said, I have a lot of fond memories with this movie. It's the first Michael Myers mask I bought. it's what I kind of picture as the Michael Myers, just because of how many firsts it had in my life. Oh God, and I enjoy the movie. I had it in the background today. I watched it maybe a month ago. Before that, I watched it probably a month before that. Um, it's gonna be a 2. I
Yeah.
believe I gave Halloween 5 a 2.5. Um, that's it's and that sucks because I want it to be like a solid 8, but it's just not. There's nothing there that is 8 material at all. It's oh
Yeah, Jabari
yeah.
comes in with a 3.5, which I think is pretty fair. I'm not sure what Deb ranked it. I think she gave H2O an 8. Paul gives H2O 7 out of 10 and Resurrection a 2 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah. That's pretty in line with, I feel like, the general consensus. Like, H2O is a great film in the Halloween franchise. And then Resurrection is just like, hey, you want to see how quickly we can nosedive this? Okay, let's do it. Snorts a line of coke and goes. Just, it's crazy. Like, I can't. I mean, and to think that this came out before the Fast and the Furious franchise went nuts. I can't believe it. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna give the movie a 3. Yeah, you disrespect Laurie Strode after an awesome ending. You put in characters we just don't care about. Put weird tunnels under the house. You have this gimmick throughout the movie that could have been cool, but like we've said, like it just didn't pay off. Everything feels very, even though the aspect ratio is better, like the score is okay. Score might even be better than H2O. But the ending, Sarah's a horrible actor. Like 75% of the actors in here are terrible. That annoying rattling thing is super annoying. The way the knife sounds like a sword, like from ancient Japan on like battle day, is just terrible. Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. It's pretty bad. Like even the ending is very disrespectful for the character. It killed the franchise. Yeah, I think 3. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The 0.5 is for stupidity.
Dude, so it sucks because on paper, this movie should have worked and should have been phenomenal. It was just like every choice they made was the wrong one along the way.
Yeah, they really did, man.
It was like whoever the project manager was on this, they should not have ever been in film ever again. Like I'm just gonna say it. If they just approved oh god, this is terrible.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, guys, if you watched Jabbar, if you were in here the whole time, or if you watched it even just a little bit, everybody, we really, really appreciate it. Next week we will be back with Halloween, Rob Zombie 2007, and Halloween 2, 2009, Rob Zombie. And it's going to be a blast. No, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. We're out here.